Welcome to Startup to Success with Maria. My guest today is a celebrity stylist, Sam Russell, who has worked in the show business for over 2 decades and heads the wardrobe department. Noticing the over-gifting allotted to the well-heeled in Los Angeles, Sam decided to do something about it. Since 2011, he has rerouted designer clothing and fashionable overstock to cancer survivors, domestic abuse survivors, school teachers, and single moms re-entering the workforce. Sam, welcome to the show.
Hi, so excited to be here. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my God. Oh, I am so honored to have you, by the way, because being in the show business is, it's one of the toughest thing ever. I mean, I had a little bit of an experience and I give you so much credit, 2 decades. But before we jump in, I want to hear all about how you started. What inspired you to get into the show business?
Well, gosh, thank you. I started in Austin, Texas, my hometown. I had daydreams of being in fashion, I had daydreams of becoming an actor, and I turned my daydreams into actual paychecks. So as a teenager, I went out for commercials and local fashion shows. I was always doing it very part-time. I was waiting tables on the side until I decided in 1999 to move to LA and really make this happen full-time.
Wow. So tell me, what were some of the steps you took to make that happen?
Yeah, I think everyone's journey to break in is so unique. And so for me, I've always just stepped out the door, seeing everything as an opportunity, as an ally. You know, how I worked with Stevie Wonder was I met this really great guy working at a photo lab that had a buddy that was doing his wife's website that connected me to them. So you never know where your allies are going to come from. You think you have to go out and get a big power agent to make it work. It's actually just stepping out the door with intent and being a good person. And then the universe jumps in and supports your journey.
Oh my God, I believe in that. I had a shoe company back in 2009. And I'll never forget it. I was in Sherman Oaks Mall and shopping at Bloomingdale's, just buying makeup. And I was in my sweatpants and I came across this celebrity stylist who happened to be working for Warner Brothers studio. And, you know, we just started talking about makeup. Next thing you know, she's like, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a shoe designer. And she's like, what kind of shoes? And long story short, we connected, exchanged business cards. But I was really upset at the way I looked that day. If I had known that I was going to bump into someone so important who was going to open up this whole new world for my business, which she did actually, I would have dressed better. And so that was the lesson in Los Angeles. You never know who you're going to bump into. So you better look the part and look confident, look good so that you're confident to approach them if you need to, or just simply get to know them and whatever. So
there's a very casual way of doing business in California. So if you are in jeans and a t-shirt, people are then paying attention to your energy. They're paying attention to how you talk and how you carry yourself, and not always about the designer shoe you're wearing.
Exactly. I just think that day I looked really like a bum. It was really bad. I mean, literally like sweatpants, but not the cutest kinds that are out there now, with like really pretty. And no, it was really not the juicy, maybe it was juicy couture. Yeah, it was back in 2009. Those were really trending. Yes. Anyways, so I got my opportunity in the entertainment industry through her. Which then gave my business the opportunity to make custom shoes and for celebrities like Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I would literally go on the show and make custom shoes. They would have all these wardrobes and everything, and then we would decide on what shoes to make. It was just fun. It was so incredible.
Well, so the TV show, the New Adventures of
The New Adventures of Old Christine. Yes.
Yeah, Mark Littlejohn.
Correct. And It was kind of fun. I would go onto the set, sit there, wait. Like it was just a very brief but a fun experience for me. But when I decided to sell parts of my shoe company and not go forward with it, obviously that had to end. But tell me a little bit about, if someone's listening to you and they're inspired to get into the shoe industry, the show business, and like you said, everyone's journey is different. But what are the few main things that they should be looking out for and think about?
Well, I started off as an actor before I got into fashion. And now I've sort of come full circle. I've returned to acting over the last year. I've sort of hung up my hanger and hung up my steamer. I've returned to acting. What I've learned very quickly, very, very quickly, what's keeping me busy is when you're on set, be quiet. If you get the opportunity to get on set as a hair person, a makeup person, as a background or as a speaking actor, be quiet until you're needed, because there's a multi-million-dollar production with all this money happening and flowing around you with so much stress and anxiety. Don't add to the anxiety. Be that professional person in the room.
Yeah, and that's precisely what I did. I remember seeing a few celebrities that I'm a big fan of. I didn't even make a sound. I didn't even go up to them and say, I'm a big fan. I just so professional. Yeah. And I remember this other show that I was on, it was in the Sony studios, Till Debt, with Julia, God, I forget the name.
That's okay.
Everybody loves Raymond, the tall guy. I forget his name.
Ray, yes, that guy.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. I remember, being on that set and then just not even paying attention to any of the actors. And then that guy comes up to me and he's like, who are you? And I'm just like, I'm a cobbler. And he starts laughing. It was like funny. But I agree. You have to stay very humble, quiet, just do your work. Don't get starstruck or any of that.
Yeah, but, too much ego kills talent. That's the number one thing I can say today is too much ego will kill your talent. It'll take you off your journey. People would love to get behind your dream when they know what it is, when you're likable. But when you're not likable, less people want to get behind your dream. And that is really the big thing I want people to hear today, that too much ego will kill your talent.
I agree. You have to be humble. Oh my God, I'm so happy and excited about the Giving Closet. I want to hear all about that. How did you even come up with the idea?
It was a light bulb moment I was having. I was leaving a client's home and she had been bugging me for this free pair of shoes that I had on this photo shoot. I didn't want to give her the shoes. I had given her so many shoes throughout our relationship. And I mean, 25, 30 pairs of shoes. I had really overgifted her. And it was a light bulb moment I had. What if I could redirect a portion of that gifting to a cancer survivor or an abuse survivor going back into the workforce? What would that do for their lifestyle? I mean, I saw what that did for Stevie Wonder's wife and kids. I saw what the overgifting did to Sophia Bush, how it helped her confidence on the red carpet, right? I saw that. But what would it do for someone in Detroit that couldn't get to me, that couldn't afford me? What would that be like? It was just a light bulb daydream that turned into action.
Wow. Oh my God. So how does it work now? Tell me a little bit about I guess, even though it's a passion project, but the model, right? Like,
yeah, I find stories of these women through third parties, like through a nonprofit, maybe someone that knows their story really intimately. And then we plan a little surprise, they don't know Wardrobe Boost is coming. They don't know they've been nominated for something. They're just living their day-to-day life. But these stories of these women really are so unique and should be heard and should be celebrated. We celebrate, it's the same perks that we give to all of our A-list celebrities. I'm just rerouting it to everyday people. So, it's overwhelming. I'm not gonna cry today, but it's really mind-blowing what it does for these women after we're done. They already had the chutzpah in them, but you put on a new pair of shoes, you add a new briefcase to it, they will nail that next job interview. It's a big deal.
No, it is. And I'm so happy that you recognize that and you're doing something about it. Now, you started this in 2011 and, I'm just curious how the wave was and then how the pandemic affected your passion.
I had to shut it down. I shut it down at the beginning of the pandemic, and I didn't plan. I usually do these maybe 3 times a year. I've surprised so far 17 women since 2011, and each one gets a personalized wardrobe valued at $10,000 per person. Oh yeah, so it's 40 to 50 outfits, 10 pairs of shoes. It's a really big wardrobe boost. But I had to stop at the beginning of the pandemic because everyone was stressing out financially. But I did revisit this in the Mother's Day of 2021, and I surprised a local mom here with the most amazing story of perseverance you've ever heard.
Oh my goodness. Now, how do you support this? I mean, to be able to surprise these women with a $10,000 wardrobe, who
You'd be very surprised how easy it is to get free clothing for celebrities. It's extremely, extremely easy. And season after season, the clothing becomes old news. So a lot of people are sitting on this old stock, overstock of clothing from just last fall that they're quickly gifting, they're quickly getting rid of, and they're moving on to their next season. So celebrity stylists are very privy to all of this. We're very privy to it. And I'm just asking these relationships to just reroute just a small portion of that, just a small portion of it to these amazing women that I meet.
And it's something that they can also, utilize on their social media channels and just as a brand. So I'm assuming it's the brands giving the products.
Yeah, brands love to give. They love it when media knows they give. But also too, I have a lot of designers, Rodeo Drive jewelers that give to my charity, and they don't care if they ever get any press.
Wow.
It just resonates with the personal story of knowing their mom struggle and seeing their mom dress up and now look at their success, and they know that I'm just carrying that torch. Yeah. So this has really personally hit a lot of people to where big brands just sometimes don't even care if they're mentioned.
Wow, I love that. There's so much kindness in this world, and I'm so happy that you're the connector. You're connecting everyone and everything, and it's amazing.
It helps me understand too my self-worth and all of it. I've had to sort of heal and repair myself in this whole journey, because I woke up in an abusive relationship. I woke up not happy with my career. I woke up not living my truth. So this just charity work has really kind of also put me back in check.
And to your point, ever since the pandemic, I started doing a lot of pro bono work where, I help small businesses that can't afford my marketing agency. I just help them to train them how to do certain things internally. And that sort of opened up my mind on things that I'm doing for my newer startup, for the Roma Leaf company, and or vice versa, the things that I'm going through, the pain and the challenges that I'm going through with my newer startup, all of a sudden I'm like, wait, this could be a quick tutorial, and I can put it up on the website and make it available for free for anyone who wants to promote an event or a webinar or a workshop, and so
what a breakthrough. It's a breakthrough for you. Yeah, I love it.
I feel like I'm more conscious, but also, it helps me get through the challenge in a weird way, in a positive way, which most of the times when you're going through a challenging experience or a phase, it's very, very hard not to complain and be down about it. But now I'm like, wait, I'm sure a lot of other people are going through this. Let me videotape this and create this tutorial and resources and whatever and share with others. And then all of a sudden I'm like, this is wonderful. My challenges are actually solving other people.
There's no secret to living well that we shouldn't be sharing.
I agree. And sometimes I feel like I share a little too much, and especially being in the industry, I get paid for my secret sauce, how I promote and shine a light on brands with through my marketing agency. But and believe it or not, I was never able to share the things I was able to do because of the MNDA that I signed with all of my clients. But because Roma Leaf is my own startup, it's my own baby. Everything I do about that company, I'm able to openly talk about it and share it. I know, no one's going to come after me and say, hey, you just shared our strategy. It's pretty easy. Oh my God. Okay. So I want to know a little bit about what your dreams were when you were little. I feel like, in my 40s is when I came around to really remembering my dreams when I was little and making those things a reality somewhat, right?
I dreamt really, my dreams as a kid were really kind of more basic in the beginning because I had a very rocky childhood. My mom was a widow with 3 boys. My dad, before he died at 33 years of age, of a heart attack, 33. Yes. but he was a very abusive man. So when he left the universe, our home was protected again. So as a child, I was really more focused on well-being, protection of my mom. I didn't have a chance to think about going to college or going to an academy for the arts. I was too focused on survival and well-being, and not taking my life as a teenager, So I remember as a child making a pact with myself that no matter what, when I make it to adulthood, I'm going to chase my dreams. I'm going to be really happy. I'm going to be a cockeyed optimist, and no one's going to burst that bubble. And I've really been living that through.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And it's so inspiring for others to hear this, because I don't think I think we all grow up with some challenges. I grew up in a communist society. I grew up when, Armenia was part of Russia and the old Soviet Union. So somewhat suppressed and told that I can't do certain things because I'm a girl, or, simple things like I couldn't wear shorts. People would make fun of me if I wore shorts, and so that affected me. I also, when we came from Russia, from Armenia, the currency changed. So my parents lost all their money. And then a week later, we were in the US, broke, started from scratch. And so then I had this weird trauma with money that I didn't realize until I came across this book that was talking about money. And it really dove into the fact that if you have trauma with certain things, and you can't change your perception, it's because of the trauma. So deal with the trauma, then change your perception. And so I feel like we all have some baggage that we have to.
But don't ever live it in secret. Don't ever live your baggage in secret. There is community out there, there's clarity out there, but you have to get it off your chest.
Yeah. And I think there, like you said, there's community out there. And I don't know if it's the pandemic that really brought that out a little bit more nowadays than ever before. I guess people just being so lonely and reaching out, and now being available to kind of do this right now. You and I just hopped on Zoom and we're connecting, where
we've never met before.
Well, this would have been really maybe challenging for us to come across each other. And even though we're both in you're in Los Angeles, right now, or so
I'm in Pasadena now. Yes.
Oh, you're so close to me. Wonderful. So I want to talk about some of the challenges and the opportunities. Our listeners love to hear inspiring stories, but we also love to share actionable items as to actions that they could take to turn their dream or passion into reality. So I'm curious to know, what were some of the challenges as well as the opportunities that you came across when you started thinking about your amazing Giving Closet charity?
The opportunities were plentiful. There was plenty of snobbery of people that didn't want to donate to it, that I hadn't heard of it, didn't really care, and please get away. So I really kind of did a lot of bartering with people, like, hey, I'll get your eyewear and Stevie Wonder, but I need a favor. So I started bartering heavy to make people support my charity work. So if you've got some strength about you that you can barter to help your dream, then definitely bring that to the forefront. Whatever your skill is, maybe just being a writer, being good at social media, whatever.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. You're actually the first person who said that, because a lot of people are like, well, we just do this and ask for this. And I feel so uncomfortable asking, especially in Los Angeles. I feel like, especially when it comes to celebrities and so on, everyone's asking. And I don't want to be one of those people asking and taking all the time. So I love that you brought up the bartering thing, where you just you give them something in return for it to be worthwhile. What about, like, in terms of the general public, how can people like myself support you and help you? First of all, where would we go to find you and connect with you? And then how can we support you?
Well, I'm at givingcloset.net, givingcloset.net. That's got all my social media tags and handles and all the press that I've done there. On social media, I'm Giving Sam. It's really easy. Giving Sam on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. And, it's just nice when people can spread the message, because there's a message here. that I'm going around and I'm re-sparking joy and hope in people that it was a little dim for a short period of time. So if we can all continually keep doing that, spreading the good news where we can't find any good news, any way we can within our own resources, that keeps the machine going. It's best for our communities. It gets you out of your own head. If you battle with depression, be a little more selfless.
I
And
agree.
so that's the thing I want people to walk away with, is that I'm spreading good news where there isn't good news.
Yeah.
And if you can do the same with your resources, please show us how you do it. Do it. Don't just sit back and watch me spread good news.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And I bet
Yeah.
it's a lot of work. I mean, I bet it's a lot of work. You probably spend a lot of hours that you could be binge watching something, but you're instead working on this amazing, project. That's
But I'm such an organic giver, and I was already acting this way for my clients and for the clients' girlfriends. I'd spend hours on the computer finding them free handbags, going through lookbooks for hours, or running around town to find. So that never felt like work to me. So now that I'm doing it with a charity intent, it again just doesn't feel like work.
yeah.
It's not weighing me down. It's not making me tired. It feels like a part of my purpose and a part of my day, just like brushing my teeth.
I love that. I love that. Sam, you're such an inspiration. You really are.
You're so
And like you
kind.
said, people that are depressed, sometimes we had a few workshops, a lot of workshops last year behind our flagship store in Studio City, where we invited a bunch of doctors, psychiatrists, and so on. And we brought
Love
the
it.
community together to talk about anxiety and how they can cope with it, and as we reemerge back into the new norm. And I felt like the people that were there were obviously going through depression and anxiety. And one of the things that the doctors mentioned when they were giving us tips on how to deal with anxiety and depression was be selfless. Do things for other people. Get out of your own head. Because
Lately,
it gets worse when you sit and feel bad about yourself and you're like, oh,
getting a
poor me.
picture.
Just get up and do something good for someone else that's in worse situation than you. And then maybe it'll wake you up and make you realize how lucky you are. But it's also the feeling of
100%.
it's also the feeling of giving. I think that just, I don't know, there's something chemically that happens in the brain that when you give.
I'm never afraid to share this personal story. Do we have time?
Yeah, please, we have
Okay.
time.
My father, when I was younger, I learned later in life, my father was plotting to get rid of me and my family. He was plotting to kill my mother and myself, my two younger brothers. Really dramatic story of like, one night he took us out in a field to make us dig our own graves.
Oh my God.
I remember this as a child, and I couldn't handle the memories. I repressed the memories that came back later in life after therapy as an adult. I couldn't handle it as a teenager. But that whole experience, that whole journey put such a deep, dark hole inside of me that was depression and manifested in unhealthy relationships, et cetera, et cetera. But through this charity work, I've been able to refill that deep well with so much heart and self-worth, and this is what I can do, and this is what I'm about, that it's no longer bare in there. It's no longer sad. I can look at the same wounds and understand them and not even cry anymore.
Yeah.
So I really want people to keep talking about their deep wounds, their deepest secrets, to not be embarrassed about it, because once you put it out there, the weight, my shoulders drop as I talk about this to you.
Wow, that's inspiring. And like you said, get it out there. Just talk about it. It's amazing how talking about it, just simply talking about it. I don't know if it's because when we talk about it, we hear ourselves and somehow it becomes okay. And maybe that's all we need to do, just hear about it over and over. And then
we can categorize it, put it here, put it there. That's not like all consuming all over the place in me.
Exactly. And, this whole last week, the last 2 weeks, we've been interviewing a lot of nonprofit founders, and I interviewed I want to say about 3 different nonprofits that were focusing on abused women and children, and it's so amazing to hear the stories, the inspiration behind the founders, why they started it. And most of them started because they had a personal experience. And my question to them was, when you're, and one of them actually said, when I first started this, and she had a master's degree in communication, and she was sort of planning to go into the corporate world, but she ended up having an experience where she got pregnant and then ended up going to this nonprofit facility and so on, and ended up becoming the CEO of that nonprofit. And she said, in the beginning, I was hesitant because I felt like being around women who have been abused will constantly remind me of the experience that I've gone through, and I want to let go of that. I want to just move on. And then she said, and then I realized that the more I'm trying to push it away and forget about it, the more it peaks on me and it just affects me. But when I'm
It
around,
needs your attention.
yeah, and she's like, now when I'm around with these women and I'm actually doing something about it to help them, it actually makes me feel good about, not that I feel good about what happened to me, she said, but I feel good and it doesn't hurt me as much. It doesn't make me cry as much. It's like, I'm just like, you know what, that happened for a reason. And I'm here to make a difference in other people's world and make sure this doesn't happen again. So that attitude.
It's all energy. She's taking that energy and refocusing it, making it something better.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, how do you juggle the two? Are you still, are you still a stylist? Do you do that and then kind of juggle both at the same time? I'm curious to know how you organize your day.
Well, during the pandemic, I was going through a lot of anxiety and panic attacks, starting with the George Floyd protest, the Trump presidency, the beginning of the pandemic. I stopped sleeping. I mean, I would go 3-4 nights and I wasn't sleeping. So I immediately got into fitness for the first time in my life.
Wow.
And that reminded me of how much I love getting back into acting. So I've now had to sort of turn the knob off on fashion, unless it's giving closet charity related, and say no to the music videos and say no to the TV shows. And now I want everyone to see me just as an actor.
Wow.
And it's been extremely busy because, you know, this is my 10th. Universe is supporting it. I just came off Perry Mason season 2. I'm on 2 more TV shows this week that I can't talk about yet. But yeah, but there's tons and tons and tons going on.
Oh my God. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey as an actor? How is it different from being a stylist on set?
It's totally different. The stylists, we're the ones who are always arguing with the producers and we're arguing about money, but the actors are very more like, you sit here and relax, and when we need you, we'll let you know. And do you need anything to eat? Put your feet up. So actors are treated very differently because the hair people, the makeup people, the worship people, we're the fighters. We're the fighters in the trenches. So I'm so loving and pleasant to these people because I know their fight. I know it.
So I'm going to ask you a personal question. When you were working behind the scene, did you ever wish that you were on the other end? Did you like?
Only when I started seeing
basically on the actor's seat, deep inside.
Yeah, when I would start see, only when I would see their pay.
Oh yeah.
When I hear their pay, when I see their pay, when I see how they lived, I'm thinking, I want to dabble in that. Who doesn't want to dabble in that?
Why not? Yeah, I went to
be creative, I'm sorry, to be
go
creative
ahead.
and to be paid well for that.
Yeah,
it was what everybody wants, to be paid and appreciated for your creativity is a gift.
Exactly. I sort of went through that when I got into the advertising industry. I worked for a performance marketing agency, and all we did was partner brands with podcast hosts. And my job was to negotiate a good deal on behalf of my clients with the podcast host, so that the podcast host could promote the brand or the product or the service on their show. And I remember Joe Rogan was actually one of my favorite podcast hosts that I used to talk quite often with, because his performance was always amazing. Any product he promoted would just sell out. So and I would bring the brands and sort of have these onboarding calls where we would introduce the owners of the brands with Joe Rogan and so on. And by the way, he was very picky. He always only promoted or talked about the products that he loved. And Joe Rogan at the time was charging, I want to say this is back in 2012, about $18,000 per 1 minute integration. Wow. 1 minute to talk about a product, 18,000. And I remember sitting there and thinking to myself, I want to be like Joe Rogan one day. I want to be like Joe Rogan one day. But there were so many fear factors. Like, I had so much fear. I had so much anxiety. Somehow, like, I would just get nervous every time I even thought about the fact that I'm going to have my own show one day. And it's kind of sad that it took me
blockage. You're kind of blocking yourself almost
all the time. And I'm not sure if it was partially because of certain people that were around me that just liked having me in their company and doing what I did because I was really good at that, and just sometimes would correct me because English is my third language, and so I do have an accent and I do mispronounce words. I do all the time. I never learned how to properly read. I learned, but you know how I had daughters, and then when they went through school and they're taught how to pronounce certain letters and how you can use it.
We have Americans here that still can't pronounce proper English. You're fine.
Yeah. And so in a sense, it was like and these people would always correct me. They would just be like, oh, it's pronounced this way. Oh, it's pronounced that way. And that put more fear in me as to why I can't do it. And I want to talk about if you've ever had anything like that and what you did to overcome it. I'm just curious to learn from you.
100%. Fitness has helped me overcome reprogramming my inner dialogue and making sure my inner dialogue is there to support me. Because, being a hypersensitive person who had a string of unhealthy friendships and boyfriends, I've got tons of stories inside of me of things that didn't quite work out. But boy, now I've got a bigger list of things inside of me that have worked out. And I'd rather be more in tune with that. Yeah. And so fitness has really helped me, because on those days when I don't want to get up and work out and I'm trying to talk myself out of it, when I start pushing through that, that's how you reprogram your inner dialogue. That is the key.
Yeah. Do you meditate as well? I mean, do you do any?
I find ways to meditate. Like for me, that's being in the bathtub or going for a long walk, So I find ways to just sit with a tree, and sometimes I'll stop, and if no one's around, I'll talk to a tree for a minute.
Oh my God, I do that too.
Yes.
I'm a tree hugger.
Yeah, I'm a tree hugger.
But a secret tree hugger. I do it when no one's looking.
No one's around. I talk to the tree and see how they're doing. I thank them for listening. How are they? They're listening.
I know. This might sound so freaky, and I'm sure the listeners are going to think I'm a freak. But I like to touch trees. I pretend like I'm stretching. Like I'm doing whatever, different things, squats, whatever, stretching my calves. And I'll touch a tree and I close my eyes. And have you seen Avatar? I'm sure you've seen Avatar.
Yeah, of course.
And you know how like they visually show how how like just lighting goes through the tree and it's like going underground. I just envision that. And somehow I feel like anything that I say to a tree is being connected to this universe. And I feel like they're the
roots.
Yeah, it's like all connected. And I don't know, there's something about the trees that help me. They help me get over, I'm still not over it, but when I was dealing with my dad's passing, I used to go to Fryman in Studio City and hike there. And there were 3 trees that helped me get through the whole process of losing and losing my dad. It was just like, I felt like these trees were my protectors. I feel funny talking about it. I've never talked about it except to my daughters who think.
Well, I hope it's good, giggly, funny, because it's giving you such good feelings when you talk about it.
It is. And it's like, you just have to find what works for you. And and you shouldn't care about what people think or how people judge you. I mean, people used to tell me, hey, go get therapy. It seems like you're pretty depressed after your dad passed away. And I was like, I don't need therapy. I've got my trees. I just go hug them and they make me feel good. And I sit under them. I feel protected. And it was just rejuvenating. I would just feel so rejuvenated. I would sit there quietly, and sometimes I would talk and vent and just complain. But
Yeah, but
yeah,
to honor your father's memory is to get back in touch with the good memories. It's to laugh and to love, because you feel very disconnected from your father when you're always wallowed in sadness. Because I don't think that's how you remember him, as
no.
being wallowed in sadness. But when you can finish that sadness and get back to the, oh, I remember these happy times, then you feel much closer to his spirit, don't you?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And like you said, talking about it and reaching out to your community also helps, because I remember in the beginning, I was very upset that he passed away so quickly. He got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and then 2 months later he was
So
gone.
fast.
And then I remember talking to a few people who had bad fathers, or one just didn't even have a father. And I was
Right.
just like, oh God, what am I complaining about? Like, at least I had my father for 40 years. I was so blessed to have him for that long, and for me to experience good fatherhood. What about all those people that didn't have a good father, like you just explained, sadly. And so all of a sudden, I was just like, now I embrace my dad instead of just crying and being sad and thinking, poor me, I don't have my daddy anymore. It just changes the perception.
100%. It should. It should. He was a provider, and look at what he's passed on. Look at the heart and spirit he's passed on. You're no accident.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam, you're an inspiration. If you were to give a listener advice, not just as an entrepreneur, I think to a certain extent you are an entrepreneur. You are an entrepreneur. Giving Closet is a venture that you started from your heart and from scratch. So if you were to give the listener advice, what would it be? If they're going through a phase where they have ideas, but they're scared to take on the leap, or they have another job and they're just not able to, or what would you suggest?
No fear-based thinking. Just no fear-based thinking. If you can work on that, you'll begin. You will begin. No fear-based thinking. It is that basic.
Wow. I love that. And I do want to bring up
Yeah.
something you mentioned earlier. You said that, think of what you can give to people before you ask them for something. And I think, I've always had a hard time asking for things, asking for help, asking for advice. I would just not ask, and I would take the harder route and learn things the hard way, and then come to an understanding that was not the smartest choice. It wasn't until, and maybe it's the way I was raised, where, you weren't really supposed to even be an entrepreneur, let alone ask for help. So
Right.
all that programming needed to be unprogrammed, deleted,
You're
and then
doing a great job
reprogrammed.
at it. You're doing a great job at that too.
Thank you. Thank you. But I really want to emphasize that one more time, that, think of what you can give, barter. Don't just ask. I feel like everyone's in there's just so many people just taking. It becomes really exhausting, for us to be approached by people that just want to take up our time, sell us stuff. Like, I can't stand it when people sell me things lately. I don't know why I get
Yeah, it's got to
bothered.
be synergistic. It's got to be synergistic, or it's just not working.
Yeah. And I feel like the society is changing too now, with everything, just especially marketing and advertising being so different. It's almost like we're all looking for something that has more meaning to it. Like, if I were to
Yes.
do something I would love to help the Giving Closet in some way, whatever it is. If it's shining a light on you through my radio show, podcast, putting it on all my websites and
Well,
channels.
I'll take your size 8 shoes anytime.
But like, if there's anything more we can do to help, let me know. If you want, I don't know, a trained intern that can come in and help you with marketing and social media, let me know. Maybe we can
Yeah,
have them donate.
what I'm putting out in the universe right now is time to turn this into a TV show. So now I've been lining up everything to find a showrunner to turn this into a TV show. So Sam Russell is on the hunt for a showrunner, and I'm putting that out there in the universe.
Oh my God. Okay. Okay. I was on a reality TV show because of my shoe business, but
Oh, which one?
embarrassing. The Brides of Beverly Hills on TLC.
How cute. Yeah, I worked for
Oh,
TLC. Don't be
I hated it
embarrassed.
though. I
Have
hated it. I
fun.
was so uncomfortable. I was so uncomfortable. I couldn't stand it. I did one season and then I just stopped it. I looked so horrible. You could tell I was just feeling so uncomfortable because it wasn't, I'm a shoe designer and they put me in there as a stylist. And I'm like, I'm not a stylist. I don't know anything about style. Like, I love fashion, but yeah, but that's another story. We have to talk about it separately. But I can't believe oh my God, I
I
can't
know it's gone by so fast. I've enjoyed this
it went by so
immensely.
fast. I still have so many questions, but maybe I can bring you back and we can talk about the TV show and how you can turn this into a reality.
I
But
would
if there's
love to talk.
anything we can do to help for you to accomplish, what's the deadline? Have you set a deadline for this goal?
Yeah, I've got another surprise coming up at the end of March. So we're going to take that footage and start shopping that around. So the deadline really is I'd like to be in pre-production by summer.
Okay,
I
I'm
really
gonna
would.
start praying for you and putting
Thank
this out
you.
in the universe with you.
Can I thank you too? Can I thank you for the bath bomb
Oh
that you
my
sent
God,
me? I have to thank you for the
yes.
bath bomb because I'm a real big fan of baths. I don't take showers. I'm all about the bath. And I'm really picky about my bath bombs. And the one that you sent me, I loved because it left this sort of maroon Valentine's Day color in the bathtub. And when it was done, it didn't have the gross smeared,
Yeah, same.
the tub was clean afterwards.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah,
wait, okay, I'm all
yeah.
about that.
It has no chemicals. And speaking of that, I know we're out of time, but you know, I've realized that, like you said, barter. And I was on a mission from the beginning when I started Roma Leaf to add relief to million entrepreneurs' daily routine. I know it sounds crazy, but that's my goal because I feel like people that are the creators, entrepreneurs, they're just so amazing. They're the reason why we have all these amazing apps and ability to do things. We save time. Zoom exists. I mean, if somebody was an entrepreneur to think of ways we would not be talking right now.
Correct.
Or the high-rise buildings and everything around us has been created by entrepreneurs. And it's so sad how in schools and colleges, they don't give enough attention to that. They don't even have a major you can major in entrepreneurship, which really upsets me. But anyway, so when I started Roma Leaf, my mission was to add relief to million entrepreneurs. And it didn't really happen until I started the radio show and the podcast show. And I said, wait a minute, I can send them a little thank you gift, send them my product, my Roma Leaf product. And in return, just ask them to tell me what they thought about it. Did it add relief to their routine? Because ultimately that's all I care to know, if it helped them. My mission is to add relief. And so with that said, I would love to know how you liked it and did it add relief to your daily routine?
Well, it was so moisturizing on my skin, which I loved. And I loved how I didn't have to have this big mess to clean up in the bathtub afterwards. There was no mess to clean up. Yeah. So the relief was that I could stay relaxed after the bath was done.
Awesome. And that bath bomb that I sent you had 60 milligrams of CBD. So I'm not sure if you felt the release, and no THC.
I went straight to bed. So I mean,
then it did the job.
Yeah.
Then it did the job. It's supposed to put you to sleep. I'm so happy. I think it was Serenity we sent you. It smells really, really nice. And
oh, Serenity Deep Space. They're such cool names.
Yes,
yes,
it is. It is. Well, thank you so much, Sam, for your time, for getting on this show, for sharing your amazing work with the Giving Closet. Again, remind us how we can help, whether it's donating, whether it's volunteering. Is there anything we can do to support you?
Everyone can keep up with me at Giving Sam on social media. My website is givingcloset.net. Of course, I welcome donations. There used to be a button there set up for donations, but right now I really want everyone just to stay inspired, spread the message. Giving Closet.
And if there's anyone in the TV industry interested to start a show, talk to Sam. We want to get this. Oh my God, this is going to be an amazing show. I could just see it already. Yeah.
It has the elements of Undercover Boss and all of that, and Extreme Home Makeover. It has all those feel goods.
Yeah, I love it. Sam, I can't wait to bring you
You're the best.
back and talk about the TV show after the summer, because I know you're going to do it.
Yes. You're the best,
Thank
Maria.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.